Yo everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a review as well as a demo of the brand new eyeshadow palettes by Huda Beauty from her Obsessions eyeshadow palettes range. These are the Brown Obsessions palettes. This is the latest release for like kind of spring summertime, and generally Huda tends to release 3 years ago, I've noticed, and this time she's finally come out with an actual brown range. So goodbye mauves, I hope, and goodbye other multicolours. In all honesty, I think Huda's done the rounds with all the colours now. So it's going to be interesting to see as well how many of these have been duped and whether or not these are worth buying. Now, first off, these retail at £27 each. They actually used to be £25, and the reason they're now 27 is because they now come in plastic packaging, whereas the £25 ones used to come in cardboard packaging. Let me just quickly show you what the packaging itself looks like. Firstly, here we go again with the unnecessary plastic packaging. Huda, could you please just get rid of it, replace it with cardboard, and we're happy to keep this inside. They come in a plastic casing like this. This is the Toffee Obsessions one I'm showing as an example. Very hardcore, durable plastic, and then you open it up inside. You've got your 9 eyeshadows, and then you've got a decent sized mirror as well. I really love the aesthetic of these. I think they look beautiful. Now let's talk about the packaging as well. I mean, Huda does love to be a little bit different, and the outside of these are reflective of tortoises. What's plural of tortoise? Is it tortoise? I don't know. But that's what these are like. So you've got the caramel brown one in that kind of colour, toffee, and then chocolate as well. I think that they're really cute. I actually really love the packaging design that Huda Beauty does when it comes to their eyeshadow palettes. I think they're really different, they're fresh, they're unique, they look lovely as well. It's not just about the aesthetic on the inside, it's about the outside as well, bearing in mind you are paying for the packaging too, so we want it to look good. So I bought mine from Feel Unique. You can buy them from Boots, Selfridges, Cult Beauty, loads of different places. The reason I generally tend to go to Feel Unique is because I've got Huda Beauty set up as my brand for life, meaning no matter what I buy from Huda Beauty's range, I get a standard 10% off, which is great. So I'm going to go through each one of these one by one and let you know what my thoughts are, and then further on into the video then I will share with you a demo of how I've created this look today, which is from using all 3 of the eyeshadow palettes. Let me just quickly read to you what it says off of Huda Beauty's website. So it says, brown never looked so good. Infused with divine swirls of toffee, caramel and chocolate, these brown obsessions mimic the dreamy tortoise shell designs that Huda is obsessed with. Effortlessly easy to master, these sumptuously pigmented palettes feature 4 delectable finishes in complementary tones that look ravishing on every skin tone. Velvety smooth powders, intense metallics, buttery marble cream shimmers, and an irresistible new pearl flake texture give you creative freedom to playfully shade, highlight and define the eyes. So the caramel one, it says, is add a little fire to your look with this spicy combination of burnt caramel, hazelnut and maple mattes accompanied by molten copper apricot and rhubarb shimmers. So this is what the outside looks like. And then this is the inside. I don't know about you guys, this doesn't say caramel to me. This says orange, like chocolate orange. I'd be happy with chocolate orange. This is number 1. And this one is described as a caramel swirl metallic shade. This has got really small kind of golden particles and pinkish particles, but it's a beautiful kind of orangey kind of shade. I don't know if I'd call this caramel, but that's what it's called. Okay, so this is number 2. Now this one is called Cinnamon Sugar Metallic. Now even though the previous one is metallic too, you can definitely see the difference in terms of pigmentation and how thick in texture this one is in comparison to this one. Now this first one is still good, but it's one of those ones you have to layer it quite a bit, whereas this one you would only need to layer it once. It's absolutely gorgeous, but again I would describe it as like a burnt orange rather than cinnamon sugar. I don't know. This one is number 3. All right, this one is called Spiced Ginger Matte, and obviously it's a matte shade. Again, looks orange to me. Not that I'm complaining, I'm just trying to figure out where the whole caramel thing comes in, because this is a beautiful deep orange shade, easy to blend, very pigmented, absolutely stunning. This one is number 4. This one is another matte shade, and this is called Maple Matte. So this one is definitely a more of a muted peach kind of color, I would say. Again, absolutely gorgeous color, deep, pigmented and easy to blend. This middle one here is number 5. This one is called Caramel Glaze Metallic. Again, I would still say that this number 2 shade is a lot more pigmented. This one I had to layer it 2-3 times. In all honesty, this is just one swatch, so I still think it comes out really nicely. But these are the kind of shades that I personally think apply a lot better with your finger rather than a brush for a more intense kind of sparkle and shine. This is an excellent, beautiful colour. Really makes me think of kind of Asian bridal looks. This shade is number 6. Now this one is called Brown Metallic and it has exactly the same texture and level of pigmentation as number 2. You can see that there. That is one swipe, clean and deep in tone. I think it's absolutely beautiful. What an amazing brown shade that is. This shade is number 7. This one is called Honey Pecan Metallic. Oh my god, you guys, this is probably the most intense one out of all of these, even more than number 2 and number 6. Look at that. That's got gold flakes in it. It's got like an orangey, burnt orange kind of look to it. It's absolutely stunning. It's thick, intense and highly pigmented. This shade is number 8. Alright, this shade is called Dolce de Leche Matte. So yep, a matte shade. It's a beautiful pale peach shade. Again, really pigmented, would work well on all skin tones, blends beautifully and it's a gorgeous colour. And finally we have this shade on the end, number 9. This final shade here, number 9, is called Chestnut Brown Matte. It's an absolutely beautiful brownish colour with a slight hint of orange terracotta to it. Blends beautifully, highly pigmented and excellent. So this is all of the Caramel Brown Obsessions palette on my arms. I'm sure you guys will admit it's an absolutely beautiful palette. 10 out of 10. Alright, so now let's move on to the Toffee Brown one. And what it says on Huda Beauty's website is that Toffee Brown Obsessions is a silky smooth blend of caramel, buttercream and golden toffee mattes paired with shimmering honey and sugared almond metallics. This is what the outside looks like. Absolutely gorgeous. I love this. I've actually got a sweater in these exact same colours, so I'm a little bit biased. And then you open it up and this is what the 9 shadows on the inside look like. And let's start off with this one here, number 1. This first one here is a matte shade and it's called Burnt Toffee. This to me kind of looks like a mustard colour. Absolutely gorgeous. A nice deep sort of shade. Would go well with all skin tones and it performs beautifully. Then next up we have number 2 over here. Now number 2 is a metallic shade. It's called Golden Sugar. This is actually what I'm wearing on my eyelids in today's video. Absolutely beautiful colour. It's multi-dimensional. It's got different sort of shades on the inside. It's got a little bit of yellow. It's got a little bit of like rose in there as well. So it's an absolutely beautiful colour. Very, very versatile. Right, next up we've got number 3 over here. This one is another matte shade. This one is called Pecan. It's like a dark brown with a hint of purple to it. Absolutely beautiful. Again, works beautifully, blends amazingly, and it's an excellent matte shade. Next up we've got number 4 over here. Right, this one is called Golden Nougat Swirl, so it's one of the swirly shades. It's a beautiful light kind of fairy gold colour. This is what I'm wearing on my brow bone and on my tear duct. It performs beautifully. It's definitely not as intense as, for example, this one, but it's a nice muted gold which still has great pigmentation. This is number 5 in the middle. This is another matte shade. This one is called Butterscotch. It's a beautiful deep kind of yellow colour. So it's not one that will look weird on many skin tones. On very deep skin tones, it may be better if you wore like a white base underneath. Otherwise, it will kind of blend out into your skin tone and disappear into nothing. But overall, I think it's a great matte shade and it works really nicely. This is shade number 6. This one is another metallic shade. It's called Candied Peanut. And it's a beautiful, very intense, high shine metallic. Very intense, very, very pigmented. Probably even more pigmented than these two. Definitely more than that one there. But the colour itself is absolutely gorgeous. It's a burnt metallic kind of orangey shade. Looks very similar to the one in the previous palette I just showed you guys. This next shade here is number 7. This is another matte shade and this is called Walnut. It looks very, very similar to this one. Is it just me? But I would definitely say this one is a lot more deeper in tone. And again, performs beautifully, easy to blend, a great deep matte shade. This shade is number 8. This is another metallic shade. This one is called Honeycomb. It's definitely a high shine metallic, Not as intense as this one, but very similar to this one here. Beautiful yellowy kind of gold. Finally, we have number 9 on the end over here. This is another matte shade. It's called White Chocolate. Obvious reasons, it doesn't really do much for me. I used it in today's video and all I did was use it to set my eyeshadow primer and to smooth out my eyelids so there's nothing sticky on them, so that everything would apply seamlessly. But in all honesty, this is mostly a blending out shade because it hasn't really got that much of a colour to it. Overall, this is all the 9 shades. Again, absolutely excellent palette. Love them. Look beautiful. Alright, now the final one, which is the Chocolate Browns Obsessions palette, is described as a modern edit of milk and dark chocolate mattes blended with decadent fudge metallics, sprinkles of brown sugar and berry shimmers. They make it sound like food. I feel hungry all of a sudden. So this is the outside of the Chocolate Browns one, and then on the inside you've got all 9 eyeshadows. So let's start off with this one here, which is number 1. Okay, so this one is a matte shade and it's called Praline. Don't know about you guys, but that looks mauve. It looks mauve, Huda. It's mauve. It's not brown, it's not chocolate, it's mauve. Not that I don't like mauves, but did we need any more mauves? No, we did not. This is number 2. Okay, number 2 is a metallic shade called Cocoa Truffle. This complements number 1 of Praline very nicely because, again, they are very similar in colour in terms of the same family. This is like a brownie mauve colour. Again, there's no chocolate about it. This one here is number 3. Okay, this is another metallic shade. This one is called Cherry Chocolate. And this one is a dark, dirty brown with flecks of red in there. So it's a very unique shade. It's not really the kind of shade I generally tend to go for personally. I don't really like shades like this. They don't make me look very well. But obviously it's completely down to personal preference. But in terms of quality, texture, pigmentation, absolutely excellent. Right, this shade is number 4. Okay, number 4 is another metallic shade. And this one is called Caramel Fudge. This one is a very strange colour. It's like a mix of gold and pink, as there are pink flecks in here. Absolutely beautiful colour, very unique, very, very intense and pigmented. This shade in the middle is called number 5. This is another matte shade. This one is called Macadamia. This is one of the lighter shades. I'm actually using this in my crease today. It's a very pale shade but still shows up very nicely against my skin tone. It is a pale mauve shade. Here we go again with the mauve. However, the colour itself performs beautifully and it's great as a transitional shade and a blending shade. This shade is number 6. This is another matte shade. This one is called Chocolate. Finally, a chocolate shade in the chocolate palette. Hallelujah, people. This is a beautiful chocolate colour. Deep brown, matte, intensely pigmented, blends beautifully. It's absolutely beautiful. Is shade number 7. This shade is another matte shade. This one is called Peach. This to me looks kind of like a pale baby pinky peach kind of colour. It's quite powdery in texture, I've noticed. Some of the mattes are. Some of them aren't, but this happens to be the one that is. However, it's very, very pigmented, easy to blend, and it does show up against my skin tone, but very subtly. Another blending out shade. Shade is number 8. This is another metallic shade. This one is called Pink Marshmallow. Really pretty shimmery colour. It's like a peachy pink sort of colour, and it's intense, really pigmented and looks absolutely beautiful. And then finally we have number 9 on the end here. And then this final matte shade here is called Dark Chocolate. This again has got a hint of plum to it, because if you look at it in comparison to that brown, it really makes it obvious that this is not really a chocolatey kind of colour. In this entire palette, I have to say that this is the only actual colour that reflects the name of the palette. The rest are kind of not. But overall, excellent palette, great quality products, and another 10 out of 10. Okay, so that's it for all the swatches. I'm sure you guys can admit these palettes are absolutely beautiful, really, really pretty. However, I'm sure quite a few of you are wondering, all right, well, Huda's come out with quite a lot of palettes over the past couple of years, quite a lot of these Obsessions palettes now, and there must be repeat shades at this point. And well, that's the reason why you have people like me on YouTube to let you know what my thoughts are in comparison to a few of the other pre-existing palettes out there. Now, a friend of mine, Roma, hey Roma, asked me to actually go through my collection of my Obsessions palettes, as she knows that I have all bar one, I just don't have the blue one, to check and see whether there are actual dupes out there. The one thing I do have to say when it comes to Huda Beauty is I've noticed that they're quite good at making sure that they generally don't repeat shades, and it's not an easy thing to do. However, for example, the shade brown can come in 30, 40 different types of browns. It's all just down to perspective and the way that the colors are mixed. So the first thing I'm going to start off with is the Caramel Obsessions ones. Now, from looking through my collection, I came up with 3 that looked similar. The first one was the Topaz Obsessions one, and you can put them next to each other. You can see why I'm like, how is this called caramel? Because it's like, you know, orangey. But I do have to say that after looking at both of these palettes, there was only one that looked very similar, and it's just these 2 orangey ones that are next to each other. You can see here they are similar, but the rest of all the other shades are not repeated within this. They may look similar, but they're still different colors. So that's the Topaz one down. Same with the Warm Browns one. So this is the Warm Browns Obsessions palette. I checked all of them against each other and there are no dupes, just similar shades. Then the Coral Obsessions one as well. Again, similar kind of colors, but no exact duplicates. All right, let's now move on to the Toffee Brown one. Now, the only palette that I could think that was similar-ish to this, because this has got quite unique shades. It's not often that Huda comes out with yellowy kind of shades. Is the limited edition gold one, which came out last year, which was exclusive with Huda Beauty. So if you put them next to each other, you can see that they are similar. However, I did not found that a single shade was repeated in this palette, which is in this one. It's a similar sort of palette, but every single gold in here is very different to the golds which are in here. And then the lighter colors are not even within the same color spectrum. Now, the one that I've got probably the most of to show you is the chocolate one. So the first one that my eyes were definitely drawn towards in my collection from the Nude Obsessions one. So the first one we've got here is the Nude Medium one. Very similar kind of colors. However, I found that similar was just that, just similar, no dupes at all. Now this one here, the Nude Rich one, on the other hand, there is a deep kind of plummy brown shade here, and then there's another one. I've put them next to each other. They are almost exactly identical in shade. However, when it comes to the rest of the shades, these ones are obviously full of different types of mauves, and even though there is a couple of mauvey kind of shades in here, they're still more leaning towards brown, whereas these are more leaning towards purple. So there's only literally one shade in here which matches this one exactly. And then finally was the Khaki Haze one. Again, I found similar-ish looking shades, but again completely different. The browns in here are actually brown, whereas the browns in here, there's just one brown and the rest are not. So there are no dupes within this palette for this one as well. That's just to give you guys an idea in case you're wondering how similar they could be to ones that you've already got in your collection. I would completely say it's down to personal preference when it comes to these eyeshadow palettes. It's down to what suits you, what you tend to go for often, what kind of shades flatters your skin tone. I mean, you could always just be a collector and just want to get them for the sake of getting them. However, if you are interested in how they perform against others, I would definitely say look into them. They are worth purchasing if you're on the market for new eyeshadow palettes. Now, in terms of the quality and texture, very, very happy with these. The matte shades, like I said, some are powdery, but they're still powdery but pigmented. So you will have to tap off your brush. And in terms of the metallic shades, some are a lot thicker than others. You've obviously already seen in terms of the swatches which ones are more intense and which ones aren't. And I would definitely say that I love the aesthetic of these. The one thing that Huda is very good at is presenting the eyeshadow palettes. They work beautifully with each other and then individually on their own as well. I like the way that the color breakdowns are done as well. There's always a lighter shade, a blending shade, a transitional shade, a deeper shade, a shimmery shade. So there's always something for everybody depending on what kind of eyeshadow looks you tend to go for. I like that nothing's ever really samey. You've always got a variety of different looks to choose from, whether it be kind of daytime sort of looks and then going into nighttime, more sexier, sultry kind of looks as well. If you like more softer kind of looks, it's just down to how intensely you apply it. Even the metallic shades, there are some softer ones and then there are some more intense ones as well. So even if you like shimmery shades but you don't like full-on shimmer, there is something in here for you. I would personally say that they always perform better when you use your finger, and that's for the shimmery metallic shades rather than the matte ones, obviously. But again, completely down to personal preference. If you want more intense kind of shine on your eyes, definitely use your finger. Obviously the bristles from a brush will take away some of that intensity, so again, it's completely up to you how you want it to look, how you want it to perform. So that's it for my review of the brand new Brown Obsessions eyeshadow palettes by Huda Beauty. Like, comment, make sure you subscribe to my channel. If you've got any comments or questions about these eyeshadow palettes, feel free to ask me below. Other than that, I hope you guys are beautiful, wonderful and great, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.